Well, good evening. It is the first time that I think this has ever happened. It's my face. It's the first time anyone's face has been at the forefront of a competitive speed series stream, but it is going to be time for a duel in the desert. It is the wonderful Bahrain International Circuit that we head to tonight for round number 9 of competitive speed series. It's PC, and well, as you may have noticed, the wonderful Frostbreath is not here tonight. I have been drafted in as his replacement. I'll be taking you through all of those thrills and spills tonight. But first of all, let's have a little look at what happened when we last headed to this circuit. And actually, let's have a look at those all-important standings. And as you can see, it is WR out in front quite convincingly. 339 points ahead of NLR there, who have 288. We're heading into Bahrain, as I said, for round number 9. We've had a week off as well. That's important to note because obviously that will affect the proceedings tonight. Who's going to be looking strong? Well, if you're wondering where that puts us in terms of the championship up to this point, we'll look no further than the calendar here, and you can see that we are here in round number 9 of 12. We're heading to Japan, Las Vegas, and then Brazil to round out this very enthralling season of action. Everyone in the lobby is readying up, but let's have a little look at the track map for tonight as well. And here it is, the Bahrain International Circuit, 15 turns. We've raced here plenty of times. The only time we haven't raced here, 2014. Which I believe is when the Bahrain uprising happened around this circuit, and as a result, Formula 1 did not race here. We've raced on the endurance layout plenty of times, but this is the Grand Prix layout, which we have become all too used to in recent years, recent times, and I'll take you quickly back to my ugly mug before we get into the action here. Let me know in the live stream chat what your predictions are for tonight. Obviously, a lot of teams here. Going to be a great night of racing around the deserts of Bahrain. So get those all-important predictions in now for that pole position spot. And we're going to head into the action in just a couple of moments' time. Everyone is just sorting themselves out in the lobby, readying up within the actual game. They'll throw their setups on, and they'll be straight out onto the track for qualifying. And, what a qualifying session it will be. If you were one of the lucky few who've been playing the F1 24 beta, I myself have been included, you obviously may have had a race around this track. I wonder if any of these drivers have played it and might be a little out of practice just for that very fact, because it will have a little bit of an impact on your performance. But I'm seeing a lobby. That is a good sign. That is a good start. What isn't a good start, actually, is the fact I'm going to have to restart my game. I may or may not have accidentally have the PSGL files on the track. That's not very good. That's not a great start to qualifying. That is not great. I'm going to need someone to drop me another invite in a couple of moments' time so I can actually fix a bit of an interesting issue that I've not had up to this point, having different game files on, but I'll fix that very, very quickly. But qualifying getting underway now. I'm very apologetic for this. This doesn't normally happen, but in recent times, obviously, doing all of the things I do elsewhere does make it a little on the more difficult side, but give it a couple of moments and we'll get that sorted. I just need someone to drop me another invite. Yes, someone invite me. He's being washed. Quite an embarrassing thing, that. It doesn't happen all too often, but in a couple of moments' time, once I've verified the integrity of my game files, of all things, we'll be all sorted, good to go, and get this qualifying session underway properly. But let's have another look around this circuit, because whilst we got the opportunity, might as well go over and have a little look at the circuit. As I said, 15 turns, 3 DRS zones around this circuit. Very important that you maximize each and every one of them as well. Overtaking opportunities, your main ones being turn 1s, turn 4, and then obviously the very not so difficult corner of turn number, when it comes up, because I've literally forgotten. It's turn 11, but also remember turn 9 and 10, very difficult braking zone, so very important that you get that one right lap after lap. But this sort of circuit, it's very fun, it's very flowing, and going to be difficult, especially with that all-important esports line, a different line than you might typically see at a more traditional track. Whilst you've got a couple of seconds, we'll have another look over those standings in full, and we'll have a quick run through in full. It's WR out in front on 339 points, and then it's NLR in second, TTM in third, and Shazoo in a very respectable fourth place. CPI fifth, Playing Ducks in sixth, ABS seventh, Artifacts there in eighth, Precision Racing in ninth, and in 10th is Artemis there. Big opportunity, people needing to get some good points on the board here tonight. So it will be interesting to see if the teams like Artemis and Precision Racing can get some good points onto the board. Annoyingly, it's taking a bit longer than you would have thought, because it's just being a little bit awkward restoring the game files. But in a couple of minutes' time, we should be all good to go. But obviously, one of those things, kind of forget that I have multiple different roles. First time I've done PC, and I've already somehow messed it up. So no surprises there. I somehow managed to find a way to mess absolutely everything up that I touch my hands on. But obviously, hang on, let's have a little appearance from one of our amazing partners' gifts to me. It's Bob. And, Bob is going to keep us entertained for the next couple of minutes, because I'm still waiting on these game files to sort themselves out, but they will be in a couple of minutes' time. But Bob, his prediction for pole is WR, and I think Bob's wrong. Bob's always wrong, but he does make you go faster, so that is Bob's job done. I have a feeling it's going to be a CPI. I just got a feeling in my bones that it's CPI who are going to be on the top step of the podium here in this race in qualifying as well. And it's finally sorted itself out. Steam's moaning at me. It's really moaning at me. But we're getting there. Progress is being made, which is something. That is definitely something. I'm getting game sounds in my head. Apologies for the delay, but I think we're finally going to be getting this qualifying session underway. Well, it's already underway. I'm just a pleb and might have accidentally happened to have messed it all up, and I'm going to be absolutely bollocked for it later. But if my eyes are not deceiving me, which they're not at the moment, we are about to get into this lobby myself, and then we'll be all good to go. It's communicating with online services, which is a lot of progress. And it does mean I have the correct install of the game, which is great. And if I press spectate, which I absolutely have, and then hopefully this now means everything is dandy, and there we are. It's the game! It's what you actually came here for. It is qualifying at the Bahrain International Circuit, and qualifying is firmly underway here. And, we're all sorted here. And, qualifying firmly underway here around the Bahrain International Circuit. We'll get that all-important track map up. No debates over that, please. Track map ever important to me and keeps me safe. But qualifying, as I said, underway. And pretty much the first runs having already been completed now around the circuit. And at the moment, as things stand, it's NLR with Zach Miles on the top step of this order, and not a bad time there, a 1:27.496, so not a bad lap time at all from him. And look at the ATX of Pavelli here going around. I believe this looks to be just in lap. Might even validated on his official fastest lap attempt here. But it does look like the RCR of A-Swiss here is not holding back, is trying to unleash as much performance onto this racetrack as humanly possible. And no surprise, he's doing his absolute damnedest to try and get every bit of performance out here, as now he comes towards the final turn here. This is turn 15 around this circuit. Up to the line, you will see that rear wing open nice and wide up to the line. Not fastest and not very representative lap time, but here is Thomas Boldra here, who is the only reason I'm in this lobby. Thank you for accepting my Steam request so I can actually get back in. He's representing CPI here in this qualifying session, and it's going to be very important that he gets a good lap time on the board here. And he set a fastest middle sector there, according to the game, as now he winds up through this Sector 3. Not much to Sector 3, just 2 braking events there, and just 1 long straight in between, but how you apply the throttle out of those 2 braking zones, very important. Might have been a good lap time, but looks like it fell away from him towards the end of it, and chose not to set it onto the timing tower, but these runs getting through nice and quickly here, and grid penalty awarded. That does mean a lobby restart is confirmed, and while that could be relatively crucial in, you know, this lobby restart, resets your tire allocations, so you can't do as much on your strategy, but nonetheless, going to be interesting when this qualifying session progresses towards its end. But as things stand, Zach Miles out on top. Penalties being given out absolutely to these 3 because they're just trundling around, getting that outlap sorted, done and dusted. Outlap here, very, very crucial, especially given it being a night race. Your tyre temperatures, they're a little bit more difficult to get into that window, so this outlap, you do take it a little bit more gingerly and take it a little bit more carefully, because if you don't, that is when you may really suffer around this sort of circuit. It's very, very important that you get as much grip out of these tyres, and we will only be seeing that soft compound. No threat of rain around this sort of circuit. It has happened, and if it does happen in the race, that would be certainly quite something. But as things stand, with, you know, plenty of time left on the clock in this qualifying session, it's as you'd expect in this qualifying session, just trundling around on these outlaps, and well, 8 minutes left to go. They've got plenty of time to get these runs underway, and well, maybe able to get 2 runs in if you're like Zach Miles and really at the front of this train. But a few drivers have already validated on their most recent runs here, so a bit difficult for them. But the Shazoo here of Aaron here coming through sector number 2. Sector 2, very twisty and technical to begin with, but then winds up with this nice straight and very sweeping left and right here. It's a bit like an S section. It's very lovely to take, especially if you get it nicely on the apex. A purple sector 2 there. 1.5 tenths improvement here for Aaron. He's looking good as he comes through this final sector 3. How much time is he going to gain through here? Well, is he going to gain time through here? It's not the easiest place to gain time, at sector 3, but if you get a bad exit out of this final bend, and you undoubtedly can, up to the line, only go 7th, so not a huge improvement there, but still an improvement nonetheless. Let's keep an eye on who else is improving. Oh, it's Jasty here in currently 2nd place. He is winding his way up the hill, as many other drivers will do through this qualifying session. WR currently on the back foot, so the prediction from Bob, very, very wrong as things stand, but there you go. That's Jay Kennedy going up to 8th place there for WR. And now Jasty here, he's 2nd on the grid. Is he going to improve? He now goes around the final bend. That's turn 15. And now you'll see the DRS open wide, nice and wide there as he goes past the detection point. It is an improvement by 1/10 of a second. It takes him ahead of Zach Miles. Is Zach Miles improving? He's not. He's into the pit lane. He knows he'll have to go for another run here to get some better pace and performance out. As wow, what a start here for the Williams PD team, because, well, Second place there for Pablo Alcabar there, and what a lap time, just marginally and fractionally off his teammate. They are on an absolute barnstormer so far, are they? And wow, you cannot fault them at all. What a brilliant start to their qualifying session. A few movements down the order. I believe that was Candy King moving up a couple of places. But look at Thomas Boldra here. He's allegedly set a purple sector 2, but it likes to tell you purple sector 2 when it's not really. But he did get a benefit of, I believe, a toe from his teammate, which could certainly pay dividends to him as now he rounds the final bend. CPI, they're currently 13th or 17th. Where can Thomas Boldra go? He's going to go only up to 15th, so not the best of lap times from the CPI driver. And well, 13th and 15th, that is not representative and indicative as to where you think they might be, given they are a team second in the championship. Not where you want to be at all in this qualifying session, but plenty of movement yet to happen as well. You look at teams like WR, they're still on the back foot too, so really a lot of teams not having the best of times here so far in this qualifying session, and plenty of teams going to be searching for more pace and performance here, as I believe everyone is going to be winding their way into the pit lane here. I think maybe only this RCR could possibly be going for an improvement, although I'm not fully sure, as now they go around the final bend and up towards the line. 17 drivers in this session, very good and respectable tenor. Up to the line though, RCR only 15th, which demotes there Thomas Boldra there, and does mean that Pavelli is now bottom of the grid for ATX in this qualifying session. But plenty of time to get back in, refuel, and go for one final run around this track. And wow, what a track this one is. I cannot wait to see these final runs getting underway, because it won't be all too long until we'll see them all take to the track for one final time. One last shot of glory, and at the moment, well, there's one team currently feeling glory more than any other, and wow, they're doing a real good job at it, as understandably speeding into the pit lane. Why not? Because there's no real negative to it, especially when you're in qualifying. You don't get a penalty for it, only a warning, so do it as many times as you want. You won't get any repercussions, especially with that all-important lobby restart coming up. There's Kieran Humphreys there for NLR. Is a late arrival, I believe. No. Oh, he's had to rejoin. That's unlucky for the NLR driver. I didn't even realise that they had left the session. They might be able to get out for these final runs, to be quite honest, so they might be in a great place if they're able to quickly take back control and get out the pit lane nice and quickly. But WR, the first to run out onto the race circuit and get into these final flying runs. And well, it's great if you want a bit of a viewership, because you're going to be the first driver to cross the line, so you know you're going to be probably getting a bit of the old cameras there on you. But nonetheless, WR really on the back burner here, really need to try and get a bit more pace out in this qualifying session. 11th and 14th, not where you want to be on the grid, but plenty of opportunities and other people to try and get past. You only need a few tenths of an improvement to really jump up a few places. Literally 0.2 of a second jumps Jay Kennedy, for example, all the way from 11th up to about 7th, 8th on the grid. So pretty much, you definitely can get a good improvement. So, 6th or 7th would not be a bad result here for WR or any team, to be very honest with you. But currently, obviously, PD out in front, and well, doing a great job there. So close, the two drivers there. Very much a strong showing from them. But the final runs getting underway now. It is Tony Heitler here, who bites the gun first, takes to the line, and begins his final flying run around the Bahrain International Circuit. 15 turns await him, and this first one at turn number 1, a crucial braking opportunity and a crucial place. You can gain plenty of time, but then the exit here through turn 3, through turn 2 and 3, sorry there, and then up here, you'll see them run as wide to the left as they can, really using the esports line as much as they can, and just watch the commitment through here. Watch how much they will use these curbs to their advantage. A small improvement there in sector number 1 for him, as now we go down the hill once more, and now into the trickiest part of this lap. It's turn 9 and 10, so easy to lock up here, and well, nicely taken there. Just a small lock up on the rear there, so that's probably going to unsettle the car slightly, but is it going to be an improvement there? Well, you'll see here, running as far to the right as you dare, because this, again, esports line, wider entry, and you can take it with just a little bit more speed. A few miles an hour, yes, but a few miles an hour gained, a few miles an hour that you will have over other people. It's about a 10th up here in this qualifying session. It could be good for WR. It could be an improvement that takes them up at least a good few places here. If they're able to get this Sector 3 on point. And now, as we wind through that Sector 3, it is going to be very crucial. Up to the line, though. Qualifying is done. The checker flag is out. It's 11th there. Not a bad lap time at all. Now it's going to be Drake Dempsey's turn. Up to the line for TTM. And now he will go top of the timesheets there. A 1:27.388. What a lap time there for him in this qualifying session. That is brilliant. But JST is improving too. Nearly a 10th of a second. And that could be it. If JST gets this lap across the line, he will go P1 as things stand. Can he manage it though? This team have been P1 and P2 for a good 5 minutes now. Zach Miles to the top, though, with a 1:27.339. Can JST take it back? Yes, he can. What a lap time there from him. But what can his teammate do? We saw the teammates battling, but that's not going to come to any avail, unfortunately, because he cannot improve, and he's actually ruined his final run. What can Nico Val do? Thomas Bruder, though. Boldra, though, sorry, 4th on the grid. Nico can't improve. Small margin improvement there for him. But what can Mizzy do? He can't improve. What about Kieran Humphreys? Late arrival into this qualifying session, as in he disconnected early in this session and can't get an improvement on the line. Invalidates in the final corner. He'll dive it into the pit lane. I believe that is it. Qualifying is over, and it's JST on pole position here for PD. What a result for them. 1st and 5th. That is a brilliant, brilliant performance there for them. But Zach Miles in 2nd, and then Drake Dempsey in 3rd there for TTM. CPI, though, getting a really good lap time there to go 4th with Thomas Boldra right at the end, and Pablo Alcabar there in 5th place. But what a qualifying session that was, and what disappointment for WR. 13th from 14th, the best they could muster in this qualifying session. But pure elation, I have no doubt, for JST here, who will be on pole position here for the Bahrain Grand Prix as we go for a duel in the desert. The first of the 3 tiers at Competitive Speed Series to head to this track, with the others following tomorrow and on Sunday. But your grid for the race then, it will be JST on pole position, Zach Miles in 2nd, Drake Dempsey in 3rd, Thomas Boldra in 4th for CPI. A good lap time right at the end when he needed it. He was last in this qualifying session earlier on. Pablo Alcabar there in 5th, Nico Viney there in 6th, Mizzy in 7th, Esteban Tomas is in 8th, Kieran Humphreys in 9th, followed by Jensen Randall, Aaron, I'm not even going to bother pronouncing that last name, I am not great at names, Marco Dabuna there in 12th, 13th for Tony Hayter, and then Jay in 13th there. But that is qualifying done. It's time for a good old-fashioned Demolition Derby, and who doesn't love a Demolition Derby, especially around a track like this? But as far as I'm aware, this is pretty crazy going into this race. This is not as you might expect, at least as not as I would expect, based on the teams I would expect to see actually at the front of the field. But who doesn't love watching a good old-fashioned Demolition Derby down into turn number 1? We're used to seeing it plenty of times across Competitive Speed Series, and why not? Let's have a little run of it. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights, It's Demolition Derby time here in the Bahrain Grand Prix. Jump starts galore, retiring on the grid, front wings lost, crashing into each other. Who doesn't love a bit of carnage and a bit of fun? You've already got 5 drivers out. Someone's gone into the pit wall there. Oh, and it's a big crash there for Red Bull and Mercedes. Where have we seen that before in Formula 1? Zach Miles, one of the few drivers who hasn't retired. Maybe not quite got the memo. But absolutely everyone having retired. And you see the pile up there, pretty much turn number 1. Just Zach Miles needs to retire from this one, and then we'll be getting this second lobby underway. And once he has retired, that'll be nice and all sorted. But let's have a little look, and he has now retired at long last, and wow. What a qualifying session that was, ladies and gentlemen. My camera has just decided to give up. I have no idea why it's given up, but it has. Has it given up? I have no idea. No idea at all. Am I frozen? Possibly. Who knows? But what a qualifying session that was. We've got the race coming up in a couple of moments' time. Going to be a great race here. No doubt about that one. No doubts about much in this circus that is Formula 1. And I'm just trying to figure out why my camera really does not want to work. And I have got no clue whatsoever. Is this going to improve it? I really hope so. It doesn't seem to be improving it. Right. My camera has decided to just stop working. I've got no clue why. This is very interesting. I have got no clue what is going on right now. But qualifying, what a result that was for those involved. My camera has frozen. Love that. Give me 2 seconds. I will sort that out. Let's have a little look then at the calendar. It is currently the wonderful Bahrain International Circuit. We're about halfway through if you are just joining us. And if you are just joining us, well, congratulations for coming and watching one of the fastest and best racing series with obviously the likes of WR and all of the most competitive teams in the world. And, well, I have now fixed my camera thoroughly. It's all good, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back. I mean, you think everything's going smoothly, and then something happens. Something happens, and everything goes wrong, and everything goes wrong at that point. But what a qualifying session that was to see JST take pole position there. Great pole position there for them. I mean, you can't go wrong at all. In that sort of proceedings, but such a great performance from everyone in that qualifying session. Really disappointing though, I think, for some teams like WR. I really would have expected to see them a little bit higher up, so maybe a little bit more to be desired for them, I think, in going into this race, but mostly because I need to learn these team names. Let's have another look over those standings before we get into this race. And, well, if I press the right button, that is, there you go. There is your standings here. And playing ducks, wow. What a result for them. I mean, just the result they took in this qualifying session, such an extraordinary result to have taken, you know, 4th, I believe it was 4th, yeah. No, it was 1st. Obviously, they took pole, courtesy of their drivers. But I'm really struggling to learn all of these names, sort everything out, but JST there obviously on pole position. Zach Miles lining up alongside him for NLR. Good result for them, and it's something they'll be looking for because they're second in the championship, so they need to have a good result here tonight to keep their championship chances alive. WR though, disappointing. 13th, 14th, not what you'd expect them to be, but one long race ahead of us to sort everything out, to get representative places on the grid. But I've been given the all clear. They're beginning to ready up. It is nearly time to go racing here around Bahrain, the Bahrain International Circuit for round number 9. Well, before we get into this one, obviously make sure to check out our amazing partners and sponsors in Grid Finder, Simulus and Sim Racing Center. You can see them at the side of the screen there on the graphic that I made earlier today. And obviously make sure to check out all of the competitive Speed Series social media. But just to remind you of the track that we're heading to tonight, it is the Bahrain International Circuit. If you're just joining us, welcome. You've joined at a perfect time. We're heading for 29 laps here of the Bahrain International Circuit in Sakir. The Duel in the Desert is going to commence in the next couple of moments. 3 DRS zones around this circuit. All very important. All 8 overtaking and your key overtaking opportunities. The all-important turns 1, turns 4 and turn 11, but do not count out turn 14 for an overtake 2, but plenty of overtaking opportunities at this sort of circuit. Well, these drivers have got to throw their setups on, they've got to sort themselves out before we can get racing here, but I can assure you, we're just a couple of moments away from what you all want. You all want to see the action around this circuit. Trust me, I want to see it just as much as you do. And in a couple of moments' time, we will undoubtedly be getting underway for what you desire in this qualifying session. And just have a look at the stream chat. People saying that they don't believe I'm a commentator or a PSGL mod. I was not reading chat, but now I am. And how this goes a commentator is beyond me. And cheers. That is yeah, that's great. Thank you. And yeah, I mean, to be fair, Elliot, you did get demoted. So you can't really talk, but well, fair enough. Well, I can confirm that we have the gameplay. And in a couple of moments' time, we're getting on the way for this race. But I really need a drink right now because my throat is so sore from solo casting. Had the opportunity to have someone alongside me, but I did have that camera graphic half sorted at that point, so no point. But in a couple of minutes' time, we'll go racing with Flying Ducks on pole position. Well, Bahrain, arguably one of my all-time favourite circuits on the Formula 1 game, and always the first circuit I drive on any new instalment of the Formula 1 franchise, and it's hosted many races and had many highlights and of course many dramas over the years. Hosted 3 different layouts. We've had the fast sprint layout, we've had the endurance layout, and we have the Grand Prix layout, which we've raced in for many years now. But just because it's a slightly shorter layout than that endurance layout doesn't mean we're going to see any less excitement. In fact, if anything, we'll see plenty more. The endurance layout actually widened the track and took it through some very bendy corners that wouldn't actually work too well for these modern day Formula 1 cars, but fortunately we don't take to them any longer. And it's going to be interesting to see how this race gets underway, how good it is when it does, because we are, of course, only a couple of moments away from it. And when we do get underway for this race, it is no doubt going to be very, very exciting. But 29 laps ahead of us, 15 turns, Playing Ducks on pole position. WR down the order, a great opportunity for NLR and other teams as well. Do not count out CPI and Shazoo as well. They're going to be great teams in this race. He's given the opportunity, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it is lights out, and away we go. Playing Ducks on pole with Zach Miles in second. And as we head down into turn number 1, it is Drake Dempsey there getting ahead of Zach Miles. Will he challenge for the race lead into turn number 1? Absolutely he does. He's on the soft compounded tyres. You would surely put your money on him with his pure grip advantage as we head down towards turn number 3 now. Surely he gets the move done here on JSD. Playing Ducks now down to second. Will they fall though? Down to third now. Zach Miles trying to battle alongside now as we head through the Twisty section. He can't quite, but look at Thomas and Pablo. They're battling behind. It's nearly 3 wide here down the hill, and what an overtake and what an attempt these guys are having, scrapping all 3 on top. Well, 2 on the hards, 1 on the soft, and that is Mizzy there on the soft compound tyres. He's going down the inside there of Tomas Boldra there as we go down into turn number 10 and towards turn 11. That's a Haas running wide in the background. That's Istvan Tomasi, who will obviously lose a bit of time and performance there through that. And now, as Pablo tries to now battle with Tomas Boldra here as we head up the hill on lap number 1 of 29. Plenty of laps to go in this race. And, well, it is Drake Dempsey out in front by 7.5 tenths of a second. 8 tenths now as we head round this first full flying lap of action. All 17 drivers getting away unscathed. But look at JSD losing a place there. Zach Miles obviously losing a place too. So a few drivers on the back burner here as the race gets underway. That's a McLaren. That's Candy King, who's had a massive slide out of the final corner there. That's turn 14 and 15 there. And unfortunate for him, he will, well, suffer the consequences of that. But look at the battling in behind as well. The Aston Martins there battling as well, as we see Jay Kennedy battling with Marco Tabuna there. And that is going to be a battle that goes on a long while as Kieran Humphreys continues to battle here with Aaron as with Shazoo. So obviously points awarded to that all-important top 15, but you want to get as many as you can on the board. And well, Aaron trying to get ahead of Kieran Humphreys and try and get a few more points on the board for Shazoo, which would be a great and very strong showing for them if they're able to, but at the moment not able to make anything work. Lap number 2 though of 29. There's lockups there going into turn number 10. Got to be careful. You'll lose quite a bit of performance in your tyres if that's to happen, as Marco De Bruyne loses a place there. Will lose a couple of places there because he loses out to Tony Hilter there and Auschwitz there for RCR. So 17 drivers as we are heading on to lap number 3, where DRS will be enabled in this race as Marco De Bruyne loses yet another place. You've got to wonder if there's a bit of damage to that Mercedes car because he's lost 4 places on this particular lap. But lap number 2 comes to an end, and look at JSD, he's not fallen out of DRS range, so very good from him to keep within that 1 second range, because it means that soft tyre, it will struggle a lot more to pull away here, as now DRS all importantly enabled, and that is Marco De Bruyne into the pit lane. Is this a change of tyres or is this a retirement? That is the question. Well, changing onto a set of medium compound tyres, that's a very early change in this race. Possibly doing a medium to the end of the race, possibly, depending on if those tyres can go about 14, 13 or so laps in this race. And that could be a really interesting and different strategy here from ABS and could really help them, especially given he was very far down the order if he's able to really maximise and utilise these tyres. But look at JSD, not got DRS on this particular occasion. He's not been able to keep within that all-important 1 second range, and that could hurt him in this race. But Zach Miles, he's not fallen out of it, so Zach Miles might have a bit of an opportunity to get ahead of JSD within the next couple of laps. This could work to his advantage, absolutely. So going to be very interesting to see what happens here and what possibly occurs beyond this point in the race. But look at Mizzy back on the back here of Zach Miles. You surely got to put that Red Bull up for the overtake in the next couple, or maybe even down this next DRS straight, you would have hoped, because, wow, the pace of that car, it's very, very strong. And, well, now, down the straight, you got to think, yep, and the Red Bull is comfortably ahead already. Beautifully done. And, well, you can't fault that in the slightest. And up into third place. But, oh, a lock-up. And that puts Zach Miles back ahead. And, well, now he's going to lose a place there to Thomas Bolger as they head up the hill once more. It's nearly going to be 3 wide. In fact, it nearly very much there was 3 wide as we went into the braking zone there at the top. And, wow, Mizzy losing that place that he did get on Zach Miles, so unfortunately not fully working to his advantage there, but obviously out in front, Drake Dempsey with a 1.5 second lead ahead of JST there in second, Zach Miles in third, a further 1.4 off the back, and then Mizzy in fourth, who obviously was trying to get ahead of Zach Miles, did ever so briefly, but then lost the place with a lockup into turn number 1, which definitely sealed the opportunity there. As Marco De Buno comes into the pit lane and pits again. What an interesting strategy here from ABS, possibly back onto the set of hard compound tyres. Might try and run them to the end of the race, possibly. Bit of an interesting strategy if that is the case, but would be very interested to see how that pans out for them in this one. But going to be interesting nonetheless here, as look at the rear light flashing on the back of Thomas Bolger here on lap number 4, because, well, you don't expect that in this sort of race scenario, especially very important to keep your battery. It's not too many overtaking opportunities where you can replenish that battery, so could work to his deficit as there Pablo Alcabar goes down the inside, tags the rear of that Red Bull, so that's not going to help him make the overtake any easier as Icewitz there gets ahead of Tony Heitler there for 13th place in this race. That does get him a few more points as Jensen Randall gets ahead of his teammate Aaron there. So Shizou trying to figure out what's the best for them in this race in terms of strategy and getting the overtakes and positions done. As Nico Viani there gets ahead of Pablo Alcabar, as does Istvan Tamasi and Kieran Humphries. So you got to wonder if there's a bit of damage to that Williams, which could be of detriment to playing Dux' strategy. In fact, you see there the end plate on the right-hand side of that car. It's missing. So unfortunately for Pablo Alcabar, that is a real detriment to his race, as there's been a big lockup in the back there for Tony Heitler. And unfortunately, that is really... Oh, no, that's just the game being a bit funky. And saying that he's lost a few places when he actually hasn't. So a bit of maybe server lag coming in there. But nonetheless, on lap number 5, Pablo Alcabar is losing a few more places there as Jensen Randall gets ahead. And no doubt Aaron will get ahead here into turn number 14 and 15. Barely a corner at all. And Jay Kennedy will also get ahead before Pablo Alcabar comes into the pit lane. And will change that tyre there as Timing Tower sorts itself out a little bit. And we settle into a rhythm in this race now. A rhythm I think some of these drivers are going to really thrive in. But Thomas Bolger, he's seemingly struggling for battery here in this race. And you see them pulling out of the slipstream. That's not because they're trying to make the overtake. That's simply because they're trying to stay behind and they just want to cool the engine down a little bit, which is very important to do. And, well, very nicely done for all of these drivers. As the Mercedes has ghosted itself. So I believe that is Nico Viani there, who has seemingly decided to end up a lap down, according to my game. But that'll sort itself out come the next lap of racing. So the timing tower a little on the inaccurate side for the time being. But that's just the game being, well... very lovely and not working into my favour, but nonetheless, these drivers continuing to stay very, very close to each other. And, well, look at Jay Kennedy. He's in the top 10. That's where WR need to be in this race. They need to be trying to get as many points out of this race as they possibly can. And he's on the back of this train here. You see him right at the back there. As now they'll come across the line to begin lap number 7 of 29. And, wow, hopefully everything does sort itself out now. And, well, should certainly do that in a couple of seconds time. But nonetheless, as now we move through the laps very, very nicely. And, well, the Mercedes very, very close to the rear end of Mizzy there. So not too badly done at all. Obviously, the blue flags being shown, even though they shouldn't be being shown, as far as I'm aware. And you see, the Mercedes, well, going a little wide there as the overtake there from Istvan Tamasi is attempted. And what an overtake that could have been if he was able to pull it off for ATX. They're looking to try and get some more points in this race if they can. And, well, certainly if they can, would be phenomenal to see them get a good few more points out of this one. But nonetheless, now as we move on through this race, very, very nicely indeed, lap 7 of 29 now. And, well, that number, lucky for many, and, well, a lot of people's favourite number as well, used by, obviously, Kimi Räikkönen in Formula 1, which, well, what a lovely driver that man was. Such a character for being a lack of character, but Mizzy is trying to be a bit of a character in this race and trying to get his way ahead of Thomas Boldra here and get himself up into third place in this race, fourth place, sorry. Mizzy is trying to get himself as he'll pull to the right-hand side down the straight, down the inside there of Thomas Boldra, and as he goes through on the exit, he might get the second bite of the cherry here as he gets the second load of DRS. Does he get it? He absolutely does. This could certainly help him get ahead here of that McLaren, and he absolutely does, as now they battle side by side, and we go through the tight and twisty winding section side by side, go the CPI and TTM, and that is brilliantly done, and very lucky for no one to lose a place there, as now that is Nico Viani there, trying to battle there with Mizzy there, and trying to get positions as much as he can, as you see Kieran Humphries there, also trying to get past. You see, actually, the Aston Martin there of Jensen Randall also battling there with Istvan Tamasi in the background as now we head through the third DRS straight around this circuit, and beautifully held by all of these cars involved. No one really making a huge mistake, and there, Jensen Randall getting ahead of Istvan Tamasi. What an overtake there. It is not very often you see an overtake done there, but beautifully executed from Shazoo to get that overtake, get that place, and get up into 7th place in this race. Lovely, lovely stuff from them. And now it is looking very, very good for them in this race. And now, look, as we head down the straight once more, Mizzy continuing to apply the pressure to Thomas Boldra, as now Nico Viani gets himself up into this battle too. He gets himself up into 4th place, and actually he's there battling with the Red Bull of TTM Mizzy here, as now we go down, and the Mercedes has gone round, and that is yellow flags flown there, unfortunately, in sector number 1, and well, losing a fair few places. I believe that is down to 14th place, no, 15th place in this race there for Nico Viani there, and that is unlucky for him. He's still not updated on my timing tower, which is a bit annoying, but that he is down very far off the order now, so no need to worry about the race order particularly, because it is as it shows, minus Nico Viani, who's obviously got a bit of weird decent going on, at least from my game side, but nonetheless, this race is still looking absolutely brilliant, and the action will definitely be boiling at some point, because those soft compound tyres, they've only got a couple laps left of them, really. In fact, they should already be going off quite a lot, and you wouldn't be too surprised if Thomas Boldra continues to apply and mount the pressure to Mizzy within the next couple of laps, because that is going to be a crucial and pivotal point in this race. But it's Drake Dempsey out in front, 2 seconds ahead of JST, and then Zach Miles, 1.5 seconds adrift of that. But Mizzy, 4 seconds behind, and well, he's going to be very much under pressure from Kieran Humphries now, who gets the overtake done on the pair of them. He gets ahead of Thomas Boldra, and he gets ahead of Mizzy, but the second DRS zone. Has he got DRS opening? He does. This will help him down this straight, and that is Mizzy losing a place to Kieran Humphries and to Thomas Boldra there as we head through turn number 4. And well, that is beautifully executed turn. well, yeah, beautifully executed from them as Mizzy gets a time penalty for multiple warnings. Don't want to get one of those in this sort of race when everyone's so close together. That penalty is going to hurt him severely, as now Istvan Tomasi gets ahead of Jay Kennedy there for 8th place in this race. In fact, the battle will continue down the hill. Don't go for the switchback. He does go for the switchback. Jay Kennedy trying to get the switchback here on Istvan Tomasi, and now both of them have DRS. DRS is a drag race down the straight, but Jay Kennedy has it, and now Aaron tries to battle with Istvan Tomasi as they head up the hill, and they try and run side by side, but beautifully held there and defended by Istvan Tomasi to keep Aaron behind on that particular occasion. So Shazoo trying to make moves in this race, as Jensen Randall will probably be looking to try and do the same. Obviously, he's got ahead of Mizzy on this lap as well. So Kieran Humphries in 4th place. He's behind his teammate. Can he try and chase after his teammate, though? Pivotal point in this race as Mizzy, I believe, comes into the pit lane for a change of tyres on lap number 11 of 29, off the soft compound tyres, down into turn number 1. Tomas Boldra chooses not to overtake Kieran Humphries and lets the NLR driver continue to lead and control the pace here, as we've had an incident down into turn number 1. That is Istvan Tomasi, who's ended up on the gravel there and now comes into the path of Candy King there, as Candy King gets his way up into 12th place, as Istvan Tomasi now in to 13th place. Can't hold it versus the McLaren there, as he's got some gravel still on his tyres, no doubt about that. Just a reminder though, Nico Viani, he's had a bit of desync on my client, and unfortunately he's running in 17th, despite the fact he is actually running behind Istvan Tomasi in 14th place. So not too bad there for ABS with one car. Unfortunately though for him, he was at one point higher up, as was his teammate Marco Debuno. But lap 11, you surely got to think it's not going to be all too long until Drake Dempsey comes into the pit lane, because that driver has been cooking these tyres, and well, after 11 laps, nearly 12 laps of racing, surely the pace is a little bit second hand, but he's still got 1.8 seconds to the car behind, so he can afford to stay on them just a little bit longer. Istvan Tomasi gets back ahead of Candy King there, but actually we'll let him back through, knowing he'll get the advantage of DRS. So a bit of DRS chicken to add to your bingo card for this race, but well, it's not going to come to too much of a help for him, but it does certainly, the DRS, help Pavelli here as he gets ahead of Icewitz there for RCR. So not too bad as they get up into a few more points in this race, and that's crucial there for RCR in the championship. It's crucial for everyone to get as many points out of this one, and WR no doubt looking to try and get a few more points out of this race if they can. But lap 12 of 29, getting up towards half distance in this race, just a couple laps out from it, and well, as they head into turn number 10, continuing to lock up these drivers, but continuing to unleash great pace across the circuit, especially these hard compound runners. They're getting some great pace out now versus the soft compound tyre, especially the one that Drake Dempsey's on. A few attempts gained across this lap versus JST, so JST really closing in on Drake Dempsey, and surely he comes into the pit lane at the end of this lap, because one more lap and he's probably going to start to lose quite a lot of pace. And there you go, that is the TTM into the pit lane, and now JST reclaims the race lead, which is obviously where he began in this race. Zach Miles reclaims where he started, that's second place. Drake Dempsey, obviously he started in third, he won't stay there at the moment, because obviously he has come into the pit lane. But Thomas Boldra gets ahead of Kieran Humphries in this race. Sorry? I've ended